It is time to talk about how Annie Are You OK performed at Robot Rebellion at the Rapture Gaming Festival here in the UK. Before we get going, a huge thank you to the entire event organising team that had set everything up. It was a fun 2-day event, and a big thank you to Jevon for commentating and providing footage for me, and Ryan from Spinner Proof for helping me edit this stuff out because I am still traveling and there was some issues with all of that. So I will leave links to World of Woodrow and Spinner Proof in the description down below. Check those guys out, they are awesome and help with this video. So the actual event itself was interesting. There was round robin groups, as I'm fairly familiar with the fighting that I do in Adelaide at ARC, and then there was a tournament bracket after that. If you made it through. Only the first place was guaranteed through into the tournament bracket. Second place and third, on some potential third places, could play off to make it into the tournament bracket. But before that, we have to get through our round robin. And our very first fight up was actually up against a reserve. So I didn't know who this was going to be until very, very late into the competition, or late into the preparation for the competition. And it turned out to be Gaelic Gladiator, a very nasty egg beater.
3, 2, 1, activate. Spinning up to speed. Big first hit, and he goes up into the air, comes back down, and again, and loses a wheel.
And that is a lot of damage done by themselves, you have to say. Annie in trouble. Are
Gaelic
you okay?
Gladiator trying to get back in.
And Gaelic Gladiator putting them up against the wall because that is the strategy, and they are out.
Oh, what a shame.
Annie taking themselves out.
Bouncing out of the arena, one wheel on that wagon.
So that is never how I want a fight to go. Losing a wheel like that and then basically having a very, very short fight, which could have been a really big knockdown, drag out fight, is just disappointing in a lot of ways. And got me asking the question, how? Why? That wheel should not have popped off like that. Well, as it turns out, by literally grabbing the wheel out of the arena, I worked that out very quickly, unfortunately. Yeah. Turns out somewhere along the way I had put short bolts to hold the wheel onto the hub, and it was only really holding on by one thread, which means that in a big kinetic energy hit like that, it just popped off. And of course, the rest of that fight is kind of history, although it was interesting being able to somewhat move upside down with Annie, and then because of the modifications we made a little while ago where her weapon sticks out the back, we hit the ground, which propelled us over the wall, which was funny because when you watch that footage back, it almost looks like she knows what's happening. She like gets a few little hops and then gets close to the wall. It's like, okay, time for a big hop to clear the wall to end in the out of the arena zone. And unfortunately, dems to breaks, we ended up in the out of the arena zone after a very short, unfortunate fight. For me, I then just made sure that both sides' wheels were long bolts to fix that whole problem and hope that we didn't have this same issue again. And I affixed the disc because our next fight up is against a robot called Deja 2, which is a mechanism wheeled grab lift type robot.
As we stand by.
3,
2, 1. Activate.
Annie up to speed. Getting a little nick there on the side of Deja 2. Deja 2 have their weapon lifted up so that they can do that sort of thing, absorb the hit and throw Annie across the arena. Annie should be used for that sort of abuse though.
And Annie really does have a fantastic shield. They are prepared for this fight. Sorry,
now
not Annie.
Upside down. Now
And this is where it's dangerous.
Yeah.
As soon as they get vertical like that, that spinner is out of control. Deja 2 taking a moment to step back. And I'm not sure if that spinner's going anymore for Annie.
Not only that, but Deja 2's wheels don't seem very attached either at the minute.
So now they're spinning on the spot. Deja 2 is going to look at this. They're going to get a grab in. Will they open the pit? And will we see a pit maneuver? I think that spinner has been deactivated.
Annie with a good push there, trying to get Deja 2 backwards towards the pit. Those wheels have very little grip on the mechanisms there on Deja 2.
And it's a really shoving match now as Deja 2 is waiting for that grapple. They're waiting for the right opportunity. They've lifted one wheel up. Can they get up? They are now stuck, caught in between the spinning disc. but it's a pushing match. Can Deja 2 get the traction? They're struggling, they're trying to get him over to the pit. It is very close, very difficult.
They've
And
turned Annie
now
over.
Annie is back where they need to be, but that
And
spinning
Annie is
disc
back.
still not working.
No spinner on Annie. It's a tough time, and it's going to be a tough end to the battle for Annie to win it. They need to get aggressive and not on top of that weapon.
So 30 seconds left. Deja 2 really needing to do something impressive here. They're getting some grapples in, they're lifting up. Annie, are you okay? But it's not enough necessarily to win the fight. It's going to go to the judges at this rate. The pit button is being pushed as we speak. The pit's already down.
Yeah, and there is only 12 seconds left in the fight to do something. Deja 2 is somewhat still over that side of the arena.
I think Deja 2 has had a wheel come off, so they're really struggling now for traction.
Wow, that's going to be an interesting one to judge.
Now that was a much better fight. At least we managed to make it to the full 3 minutes. Again, something went wrong with Annie and the weapon went down. In this particular case, it's actually because the brand new bolts that hold the tool steel weapon shaft into the rest of the robot backed out, I think, while I was flying. It's one of those things where when you fly like that, all the stuff in your suitcase gets a ton of vibration through it, and I think in this particular instance it has kind of helped back those out a little bit, because all I needed to do was tighten them back up and then they weren't actually an issue for the rest of the competition. But in this particular fight they backed out just enough to jam up into the actual pulley system and slowed the weapon system right down, which is not great because with the disc on I have a higher MOI, which means that I need more power out of the system, so any small amount of drag completely blocks up the weapon system with that big disc on. But of course it's the disc that does the most damage, so when I can run it, I like to run it, and a robot like Deja 2 is a perfect example of a robot that I can run a disc against. Something that's not going to hit me back, essentially. And the disc, before it went down, did the thing it was designed to do. It shattered the 2 front mechanism wheels of Deja 2, which is why the fight was a little bit more even going through into the back half where I didn't have a weapon, because he had significantly reduced pushing power by being run on just 2 mechanism wheels, and of course I had no weapon, so you know, we were both down bits and pieces there. Also, we did actually win that one, so this is a first for Annie. She has won a judge's decision here in the UK with a broken weapon too, which was the thing that happened to Bogglebots a lot that cost me judges' decisions. So that was actually quite exciting, and again, I quite like this fight. Any fight that goes for 3 minutes and is an interesting fight, that's the type of thing that I personally am looking for out of fights. Moving on to our third fight in our round robin group, we are going up against a robot called Boring Bot. This is an interesting robot. It is a fairly tanky 4-wheel drive wedge with waggle stick grabbers over top.
Don't be a scrub, come on Shaky. Oh, and also, go on Annie. Come on, let's go. Crack on.
This is going to be a good fight, I think.
Oh, I
Annie, are
think
you
so.
okay? He needs to look for the angle on Boring Bot.
Jevan, the robots are fighting, look.
They're doing
Right
a
in
fight.
front of our very eyes. Incredible stuff right here.
Annie
on,
trying to get around the sides of Boring Bot, managed to get up on top there. That's potentially very dangerous for Boring Bot,
That could be
actually.
dangerous. If that spinner hits a thing, it could be quite dangerous.
It could be very
Spinners are
dangerous
often
if it
quite
hits
good
a
at
thing.
that. Yeah.
But at the minute, Boring Bot doing a good job of controlling Annie in the corner, got them up on that wedge.
Looks like he might have jammed up that spinner.
Most definitely has. Annie is back down. Is it spinning? That is the question. I'm not sure that it is.
I think that's the pit as well, is now enabled.
Another lovely little waggle of those waggle sticks.
I love the way those waggle. I think it's great, the waggle sticks. They're really quite effective. Just the controlling that fight, look at that.
Boring Bot doing a very
Look at
good
that.
job of controlling Annie all around, and Annie
Oh,
just missing the pit button there.
oh, nearly. Oh.
Once again up the wedge, and Boring Bot has full control of Annie.
I haven't seen Annie spinning for a while, you know.
No, I think it may be down.
Yeah.
Boring Bot a full run into the wall there.
I tell you what, I'm not bored at this fight at all.
No,
This is an
very good,
exciting
very
bot. This is
exciting.
Exciting robot, this.
Must be Annie that's doing it.
Must have been, yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh,
Annie has lost a wheel while we were
Annie, are you okay?
we were having banter, and then
Annie
the wheel
is-
came off.
They're not okay, are they?
They're not. No, Annie is not okay.
There's the countdown.
It is indeed spinning around. Get out of its way.
He's still moving though. Oh, but there's the countdown.
Unfortunately, it's not moving outside of its circumference, and that
Annie.
could well be curtains for Annie.
And there we go.
Boring Bob, the winner of that fight.
There we go. Not at all boring. Not at all boring. And Annie is not.
So, lots of things went wrong in this fight. First of all, I really should have kind of prepped for this fight a little better. Annie currently has a new mode where she can drive upside down, and I can set my controllers up in such a way that I can drive her completely inverted. However, I did not consider just how low Boring Bot was. In fact, the blade on Annie when she was inverted was like 2 mil higher than Boring Bot's wheels. If I had sat down and measured that or something, or just had a quick look at it before fighting, I probably could have ran Annie upside down by just shaving down the upside down standoff a little bit and being able to clip wheels and stuff, and that may have helped in this fight. However, didn't do any of those things, went into the fight in the regular configuration, and kind of paid for it in the end, because the reason the weapon stopped is because of this. The motor itself basically came apart. The whole top can of the motor dropped down, force feeding the pulley into the weapon system, and because I was running the disc, these bars on the disc ground through the pulley and was having a fine time grinding through the plastic of the pulley until it hit the screws. When it hit the screws, it could not go any further. The screws jammed everything up and the weapon stopped entirely. It does look, though, like the weapon was actually running while it was grinding through its own pulley system, which is interesting. I'm not really sure how or why this happened exactly. It is a massive, massive pain, and I think it may just be the fact that this is a cheaper clone of the motor that I usually run, and I think I'm a victim of you get what you pay for in terms of motors, at least in this particular instance. So that was the motor, which I think, again, could have been avoided if I was running upside down. Then having that motor break, it would have fallen, like it would have stayed where it was, because the motor wouldn't be falling down into the weapon, it would be falling away from the weapon, and things may have worked. I don't know, you get into weird ifs and buts and hypotheticals when you go down this route, and I'm just not going to do that. Boring Bot was driven really, really well, capitalized really, really well on a lot of things that happened there, and then my wheel came off again. But this time, not because of a bolt. The bolt was a long bolt. It was the correct bolt. I'd Loctited that bolt, or so I thought. I mean, I'd used a thread locket. It wasn't actual Loctite, which I think may have been part of the reason it backed out a little bit, or all the way out. But I actually think what's happened here is that the new wheels on Annie aren't TPU anymore. They are flexible PLA, and I think the flexible PLA just rounded out against the motor hub or the wheel hub that I have inside Annie, and just allowed that screw to back out and come off, which is just, that's a thing that happened, and that's really really annoying. Again, this could have been a good fight, or a really good fight, if there were just little things that I had done better. Also, I knew that I needed to either win this fight or take this fight to the judges to get anywhere in the competition. This was our third out of 4 round robin fights. Boring Bot and Gaelic Gladiator have been doing very well the entire weekend. They, at this point, were on the most amount of points out of our group, so they were the ones potentially going through, and I knew that if I beat Boring Bot, or at least forced it into a judge's decision, points wise I would be up a little bit higher and potentially have a shot to go through. Unfortunately, that is not what happened. And I ended up actually not going through, because the next fight up was supposed to be against another reserve called Barber Surgeon, which is run by Oliver, who has 2 robots in this competition, because Barber Surgeon wasn't really supposed to be there, which was put in as a reserve. Unfortunately, he had a lot of issues with both robots on Saturday, and had to pull Barber Surgeon out of the main competition, so that meant that Annie technically won her 4th fight. But as I was there and there was robots floating around, Ryan, the person who has helped me put all of this footage together, offered up Split Decision 2, his own beta weight that he was not competing with, to fight as just a kind of little exhibition match to fill in the blank spot that Annie would have. She technically got all of the points from the win over Barber Surgeon, but we were putting in Split Decision 2 as a bit of fun, and at this point I knew that even with this win I could not get enough points to beat either Gaelic Gladiator or Boring Bot, so they were going through and I was out, which meant I was absolutely up for a fun fight.
Yeah, Annie, Are You OK will get a bye win here. They will get the 4 points for a win. But just so that it has a bit of a fight, it's going to be fighting Judge Ryan with what I can only describe as a big-wheeled robot with a knife attached to it.
But I really have to question this because, Ben, you put your robot in upside down. What's he doing?
He's gone to Aussie mode.
Understood. So,
Annie works better this way up because it's the same way up it would be in Australia.
and the fight has begun because we got all caught up there. So you can see the spinner there of Annie,
Oh, that was...
and that did not take long at all
that
for
was
the wheel
quick.
to get thrown off there. Aussie mode is clearly quite a dangerous mode indeed. And now they're going after that other wheel. They're not satisfied with the one. As long as that robot's still moving, Annie, Are You OK will continue to deal the damage.
The base plate has come off of the robot completely now. It was held on by one screw. I think that one screw gave up at life.
And Annie, Are You OK just having a little game of air hockey there with the wheel. Just having a little bit of playing with the wheel, the shrapnel that's left on the arena. Is there much point continuing this fight? What more can they do?
I think Annie is asking the question, you call that a knife? This is a knife.
And you just hear them grinding away.
There goes the other wheel.
And that is the end.
Wait
That
for
is
it.
the end.
Will it go down the pits? Not quite. Well, that's a shame. Push it in. Push it in. No? Okay,
No,
fair
we're
enough.
done.
So that was a fun fight, but mostly because Annie was finally working. This was the morning of the Sunday of the event. The Saturday afternoon I had worked a lot on Annie, replaced weapon motors, got a lot of different things working, had shored up every single bolt I could get my hands on. I'd glued the wheels on with as much hot glue as I could get my hands on. I had just done everything I possibly could think of to try and make sure Annie didn't have another weird failure in the arena. And I also took the disc off. Normally a fight like this I would fight with the disc because Split Decision does not have a weapon to hit me back. However, I decided that whatever was going on, the disc was just a bad omen essentially and was part of something going wrong with the robot. So I decided that it was best to leave that alone and put the single tooth bar on and just run that for any other fights I managed to get for the weekend. Because of course I am now out of the tournament bracket, but moving on through here, as the tournament bracket goes on, there are whiteboard fights that anybody can sign up for. So it was my plan to basically sign up for as many of them as possible with Annie for the rest of the Sunday. Going back to the fight, we also ran Upside Down, the mode that I was talking about running for Boring Bot. It was the first time I'd actually done that with a brand new mode set up on my transmitter to allow me to do that properly. The only thing is the transmitter I have doesn't allow switching back and forth between modes on the fly, so as I was in the fight, I started Upside Down. When I went up the right way again, I was actually technically driving upside down, so all of the controls on my stick were inverted for me, which was an interesting way to fight. Seeing your robot the right way up, but then also having to drive it backwards and upside down was a bit kind of mind-melty, but at the same time it didn't make too much difference because of course getting out of Aussie mode we had taken a wheel off Split Decision. And I will also say Ryan had said going into that fight to do as much damage as I wanted to do or could do to Split Decision and pull no punches, which is why I didn't back off. I just kept hitting Split Decision until all the wheels were gone and lots of damage happened, like the back plate and of course taking the tip off the knife, which was quite a lot of fun. The funny thing about that, of course, is that they ended up over by the pit. The pit went down, they almost went in, but didn't. And then you heard Jevon there calling for Annie to go over and do that, but of course, I was driving inverted and upside down, so I was not at all confident in my ability to go and push them in the pit. From here, we are on to whiteboard fights, and the first one of these is a boss battle. This is a featherweight version of the classic Robot Wars robot Napalm in the arena with a whole bunch of beta weights and an ant weight. technically all of us in the lower weight classes were supposed to be a team and go after Napalm, and Napalm was supposed to go after the rest of us, but this kind of ended up being a bit of a melee.
Robot is standby. 3, 2, 1, begin.
I'd love to commentate this, but I think it describes itself. The axe has now gone on Napalm. The side armour is also gone. Has all hope gone as well? Are we going to count down Napalm? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's a win for the Beetleweights!
So that was a lot of fun. As mentioned, it kind of devolved into a bit of a melee, although a lot of us were trying to go after Napalm, but not as seriously as we possibly should be. Personally, I was actually going after, there was a robot chassis in there for a robot called Slamco, which had had problems all weekend, and its builder Ruben had basically told me, if you get a chance, hit it. Ruben had thrown the robot in and wasn't even driving the robot. It was not powered on, he had just put it in there to take more damage because he was sick of it after a weekend of problems, which I've definitely been there and I fully understand that. Napalm was driven really well. Rara was doing an amazing job on behind the controls there. The spin moves that she pulled off a couple of times was beautiful and sent robots flying each time she did it. She was like this close to hitting Annie with the axe, which I honestly think would have basically crippled Annie. That probably would have been a one-shot bend the entire chassis type deal, which I'm very glad didn't happen because it meant that I could put Annie into more whiteboards. But I knew the risk going in, and so, you know, if it had happened, it would have been an amazing piece of footage that we would have all got to watch. So, yes, very cool. And again, I was going after a lot of different people, especially when I realized that going after Napalm wasn't really my strong suit. I needed to be upside down, really, to go after Napalm, because the ground clearance on Napalm was so high that my disc just kind of slotted in underneath the armor and didn't touch anything. And of course, the wheels are a big chunky block of plastic and rubber, which I wasn't going to be able to do anything to. I think those wheels are almost the weight of at least my bar, if not more, so there was nothing I could really do there. Next fight up is an interesting one. This was just a kind of thrown together melee whiteboard, which was spinners versus a single wedge. Although, again, this is kind of just a melee. It was more of an excuse to throw robots into the arena and all fight each other, so everybody's attacking everybody, but it was more a case of the wedge bot wanted to be in the arena with a bunch of spinners all at once, so that is what we did.
So 3 horizontals, one of which is an undercutter, a vertical,
Robot is standby.
a very limited sort of spin.
Yeah, 180 degrees.
180.
Oh, everyone's spinning up before activate. Well, here we go then. Good luck, everyone. Big hits already. Angel Slice and Annie collide. Annie's upside down now and going full Aussie mode. No, back up the right way.
Deadbot holding off in the background there. It looks like it might have drive problems. Big dash on the rear.
Enigma using that big front plow to try and deflect the blows, and by the looks of things, Deadbot spinner down, no back up to speed. Enigma now upside down thanks to Vertex.
Deadbot having real mobility. Vertex, so silent, yet very damaging.
Going down.
Angel Spinner looks like he's caught in Vertex there.
Enigma is spiraling the pit, one wheel over that hole, and there are two robots very stuck together. Angel Slice and Vertex caught.
Oh.
And he's not okay.
Angel Slice lost drive on one side, the weapon is back up and going.
Another big hit there between Angel Slice and Vertex, both reeling from that one, I think.
Enigma really
And another big one. Oh, and Baby Deadbot has become a spinning windmill in the pit.
So we now have 2 spinners and 1 control bot.
Surely not. Surely it's not going to happen again, right?
It might. I mean,
Enigma pushing Vertex into the pit, and now it's one-on-one, spinner versus non-spinner.
Angel Slice having problems with the drive there.
I've got to say, I'm rooting for Enigma because we need to keep this tradition alive. Ooh, very close to going down, and he does. Enigma wins the spinner battle.
Congratulations to all control bot drivers out there, including myself.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. That type of melee is just ridiculous. As much as I love the kind of ARC, everybody throw stuff in, it is nice when there are smaller contained groups for these type of melees, because that was just good. And I got to engage every single robot in the competition or in the arena at that time. It was great. And also got a variety of damage on Annie from the 3 other spinners in the arena there, which was really, really good. Vertex was the one that I was scared about. It was the Vert, and they got me while I was upside down, which I was thinking that was going to do a shitload of damage, but they hit my armor panels okay and didn't hit wheels or anything. Nothing really got damaged outside of Annie's front armor panel, which is again what that is there for. I bring spares of those. I am never ever fussed when that gets hit. Did a decent amount of damage, managed to flip me back over. Also, I will say too that we all spun up while the countdown was happening. That was a thing that we'd agreed on, or kind of agreed on partway through the countdown. People were just like, spin up, spin up, spin up, and we're like, alright, done, bam, up we go. Because it's a whiteboard, it was just for fun, there was no real competition to it, so we could do that. And then out of the 2 horizontal spinners that we had there, we had Angel Slice in the white and Baby Deadbot in the black. Angel Slice got more consistent hits on me, but got less depth through the HDPE front armor. Baby Deadbot only got 1 hit in, but made it like 8mm through the front armor, which was a little bit scary, but still not a full breach in the front armor. And also where they were hitting, there's then also the weapon mount piece to go through as well, so they're a long way from anything vital inside the robot, which was great. I could probably tank 5 or 6 of those hits before having any real issues, which was good to see. I'm liking this thing, this fight in particular, as I look at how well Annie's current configuration takes hits, and that is pretty well. So as long as things don't go wrong on my end, like they did on day 1, Annie is working pretty well at this point. And then of course we've got to talk about the 2 ends to that fight. The end for Annie, in which I tried to take a cheeky shot against 2 robots that were stuck together and got pinwheeled over into the pit, because of course I did. That was karma for taking a very cheeky shot at people who I probably shouldn't have. And then of course the fact that Enigma, the only non-spinner in the arena, managed to win that whole fight, which was just kind of hilarious. But also I think almost a foregone conclusion, because all of us with spinners were mostly fighting each other rather than Enigma, or at least we're taking pot shots at Enigma when we had a chance, but there was a lot of seeing whose spinner could damage the other spinners more in that fight. And especially for me, I was going after other spinners and kind of accepting damage or challenging for damage, so I didn't go after Enigma as much as I probably could have, which kind of did lead to what happened. Then we get to the final fight of this entire event for Annie Are You OK? And that is the International Special, where we threw in with robots from everywhere other than England.
Well, please go kind on Not My Beautiful Wife. So it's not really worth telling you who's where. Just prepare that this will be very chaotic, as Annie Are You OK? Is a destructive robot. We may get some robots flying up against the arena wall, but count it in 2, 1.
Activate! Here we go then. Not My Beautiful Wife doing exactly as they said, spinning on the spot. Annie Are You OK? Spinning up to speed as well. Big hit there off the front wedge of Attitude Adjuster.
And now Attitude Adjuster dealing the damage back with that hammer. They do not want Annie Are You OK? Getting away with that. Eye is falling off from Not My Beautiful Wife.
Babrock was on their back. They've turned back onto their wheels now. And I believe that Schneck is stuck on the back of This Is Not a Drill, now away.
So we saw there Attitude Adjuster hammering into Annie Are You OK? And now hammering in on another robot. They are just being aggressive, whoever they can pick a fight with.
Annie Are You OK? is stuck on her face, no, away again.
Well, they've now enacted Aussie mode, where the spinner is the wrong side of the robot, up in the air. And what a
lovely suplex there from Babrog.
So Babrock coming from Ireland. And I think that is the sister robot of Babrock stuck in the arena wall.
The arena button has been pressed, the pit is going down. This is not my beautiful wife, looks a bit sad upside down.
Very much immobile, the wheels are spinning, but they're not able to get any traction. And Babrock now, they got a grapple on Atsu Juster, taking them towards the pit. Will we see Not My Beautiful Wife go into the pit? I think some robots are trying to orchestrate that. Getting closer.
There go two of our robots.
It's a 2-for-1, both are in the pit. And almost into the Uta zone. Was Annie, are you okay?
Babrock pushing Annie once again and turning her over. Atsu Juster coming in with some good axe hits on the floor.
And let's see that spinning disc of Annie getting up to speed, knocking Annie over into the red zone, and Babrock chasing him down. And now looking for another suplex, and everyone's in the corner.
8, 7, 6, 5.
5 seconds left in the fight.
And almost
But
so close to the
this
pit.
is not a drill, he's in the pit. And that is Cease.
So Annie was the only spinner in that fight, and my other competitors made sure that I was not doing the things that I wanted to do. Basically, every time I got partially spun up, somebody slammed me into a wall or grabbed hold of me, or something happened that meant that the spinner got down or slowed down again. It was a rough fight from that perspective, but also a fun one in terms of me trying to strategize where I can actually get away from everybody and spin up again. I also got hit with an axe multiple times, very hard. I was very, very glad at that point that I had put thicker top armor on Annie for this event. I normally run a 2mm top armor, like just HDPE top armor, which that axe would have gone through, no worries, and possibly hit a battery. But for this event, I put on 5mm thick top armor, and not a worry on that. The axe didn't go through anything, and we were all good. Thankfully, I'm so glad that I did that, because that could have been a very different fight otherwise. I also got suplexed twice, basically to make sure that I was always not the way up that I wanted to be, keeping me off balance for a good chunk of that fight. But it was still a lot of fun. I love, again, that type of thing where there is a limited number of melee competitors is just a lot of fun, especially when the pit starts going down and people get thrown into the pit. Always a fun competition. Anyway, that is it for the full 2-day event for Annie Are You OK? I am still over in the UK. I am going to be doing one more video potentially from the UK if I can find some time to film it and get it edited and all of that fun stuff. And then when I get home, I am going to Robot Havoc 5 with Annie Are You OK? So there is going to be more fight footage from her and also other robots, including my full Sportsman Featherweight that I built a little while ago here on this channel very, very soon. I hope you've all enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.